Cyberpunk 2077 and Transhumanism is the name of this video, and I'll be discussing both. But more importantly, I'll be discussing some of the transhumanistic concepts that will be in Cyberpunk 2077, alongside my worldview regarding transhumanism. Just as a warning, this obviously isn't going to be a doctoral thesis level presentation. This is just an attempt to whet your appetite for this topic in the hopes that you'll be curious enough to cannonball dive into the subject matter before the game releases. That way you might be able to get a better handle on the type of content that will be in the game. That's kind of my hope. Transhumanism is defined by Oxford Online Dictionary as the belief or theory that the human race can evolve beyond its current physical and mental limitations, especially by means of science and technology. According to the Online Britannica, under the headline Origins, transhumanism is described in this way. The term transhumanism was coined by English biologist and philosopher Julian Huxley in his 1957 essay of the same name. Huxley referred principally to improving the human condition through social and cultural change, but the essay and the name have been adopted as seminal by the transhumanist movement, which emphasizes material technology. Huxley held that, although humanity had naturally evolved, it was now possible for social institutions to supplant evolution in refining and improving the species. The ethos of Huxley's essay, if not its letter, can be located in transhumanism's commitment to assuming the work of evolution, but through technology rather than society. It appears that Cyberpunk 2077 will be presenting many questions regarding the content within the transhumanism movement. What do I mean? Well, let's keep things simple and start off with what we know. We know, because we've seen, footage of the protagonist V being able to hack different NPCs in the game. Let's explore that aspect of the game within a real-world application, meaning let's see what else we can find in the real world regarding hacking. Since the first example I wanted to share is from CNN, I'd rather leave a link to the video description below so that you may watch it later. But I will be showing pictures of the scene of the crime and explain what transpired. In short, two thieves managed to hack into a car using a relay box next to the house, so that they may use the signal they capture from the relay box to confuse or trick the car into thinking the criminals have the keys. Basically, the relay box was used to capture the signal of the keys that were inside the house, and that is how they were able to steal the car. Where there's a will, there's a way, right? The question must be asked then, if criminals will hack into a car to steal it, what else would they be willing to hack? If you implanted any manner of nanotechnology or cybernetics into your body or brain, would you then be hackable? This is a serious question you should be asking yourself. Here's a funny little side story, and true, I might add. I used to work for Vaughn's in San Diego, and when I worked there back in the early 2000s, Wells Fargo offered a free checking account. One day, a Wells Fargo service member called me regarding suspicious activity on my account. It appeared that someone hacked into my account and decided to purchase the exact same porno 1,000 times. The Wells Fargo employee asked me if I made that purchase, and without being able to hold my laughter, my hysterical laughter, I was still able to convince the customer service representative that no, I didn't make those purchases, and so I was promptly refunded all the money that was spent. Still pretty funny. There's a great little article titled The Dangers of Transhumanism by a name I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce because I'll just butcher it. In this article, it establishes something I'm desperately attempting to convey, which is profoundly addressed in this quote. As Goodman said during his TED Talk, for hackers, DNA is just another operating system waiting to be hacked. Which, as you can see, was quickly followed up by this whopper of a statement. They were able to remotely exploit and gain full control over a computer using adversarial synthetic DNA. Continuing with the same article, it provides an example of the possible disparity between the enhanced and the unenhanced, as we read. In his book, Enhancing Evolution, John Harris states that the divide between high-income and low-income countries will be increased, with low-income countries effectively denied access to the technology that might make some of their citizens immortal. I would ask a better question that I believe would happen prior to the article's scenario. That question would be, what's going to happen in a society between people who have been enhanced and those who have not? To be more specific, what will happen to society when there's an obvious gap between the two? If you're still not catching the dilemma I'm presenting, allow me to paint this picture with a scenario that just so happens to be another true story. Sorry guys, I got another one here. I was arguing with a fellow gamer on YouTube as we were discussing Half-Life Alyx. I insisted that Gabe could have configured that game to allow for non-VR play, much like the game Star Trek Bridge Crew. But Gabe chose to keep Half-Life Alyx a VR-only title. The fellow gamer referred to me as a flat gamer and exclaimed I was just an old man unwilling to adapt to what's new. This petty ad hominem was lofted towards me based on my preference. So, how do you think a society that has been enhanced is going to accept those without enhancements? Will the enhanced become fed up with the dirty naturals? Now do you see my point? If you're not convinced with my position, then let's dig a little deeper. There's an article written in 2017 from USA Today with the headline, "You will get chipped. Eventually." Not too far into the article, the audaciousness continues with this quote. "It will happen to everybody," says Noel Chelsea. "But not this year, and not in 2018. Maybe not my generation, but certainly that of my kids." If that statement doesn't make you at least a little worried, I submit to you that this next quote just might. Here's the truth as blunt as a crowbar to the occipital bone. The idea of being chipped has too much negative connotation today, but by 2067, we will have been desensitized by the social stigma. I see. As you can see, this isn't a matter of if, but a matter of when. It's not a matter of developing the technology because the technology already exists. The issue is a matter of when will society become accepting of this type of technology. But in the pursuit of fairness, it would only be prudent of me to showcase the seemingly beneficial aspects of transhumanism. An excellent starting point would be to illustrate the benefits of prosthetics. In an article titled, "Future Prosthetic Towards the Bionic Man" by the engineer, we read, development of prosthetics largely divides into two camps. Those working to refine current socket-based technology, and those working on new systems more directly integrated into the body. The most basic requirement of the latter is some system that is grafted onto the skeleton, using a process known as osseointegration. This requires developing metal systems that can be inserted into or attached to the shaft of a bone, whereupon the body's innate healing process grow living bone directly onto and into the metal. 3D printing and advanced coding techniques have helped develop the technology considerably in recent years, as they allow the custom manufacture of textures and shapes suited for bone tissue to grow through. Needless to say, this type of technology is not only impressive, but also would greatly improve the lives of our veterans and those with missing limbs. Without getting into an hour-long documentary, suffice it to say there are plenty of benefits to the transhumanist ideology. However, much like Pascal's wager illustrates, the negatives far outweigh the positives in my mind. And there's one final piece to this discussion I wish to submit to you all. Have you heard of Dr. Richard Seed? He's a well-educated PhD-wielding physicist who also has taken a great interest in cloning. Not to mention, he's an avid pro-transhumanist. He has been quoted as saying, "Cloning and the reprogramming of DNA is the first serious step in becoming one with God." If you're like me and think that sounds a bit off, then you're not alone. But to make my point crystal clear about his goals in life, here's a video where Seed admits his life's ambitions.
We are going to become gods. Period. If you don't like it, get off. You don't have to contribute. You don't have to participate. But if you're going to interfere with me becoming God, you're going to have big trouble. And we'll have warfare. The only way you can prevent me in this 50 or is to kill me. If you kill me, I'll kill you.
Did you catch what he said at the end there? You kill me, I kill you. Sound plan there, Rich. Sound plan. I laugh at this guy not just because what he says is pants-on-head retarded, but because he's entirely sincere with his declaration that he will become God. You can't convince me that this guy isn't certifiably insane. If what I've said so far has gotten you remotely interested in this topic, which I hope it has gotten you even just a little bit interested in this topic, I would advocate that you please read Forbidden Gates, Pandemonium's Engine, and watch an insightful documentary titled Inhuman. I'm sure it goes without saying that there's a metric butt-ton of online articles for your reading pleasure as well. There's a lot of information out there about this subject, some good, some bad, some insane, but it's ultimately up to you to decide where you stand regarding this multifaceted issue. Believe me, I have barely scratched the surface of this topic. There's so much more to cover. I haven't even stepped into the realm of biological hybridization, ethics and law, morality, or what the cultural implications of transhumanism are. Take one last example. Remember the clip of gameplay that I showed earlier regarding V hacking into the NPC and then that NPC shoots himself? Here's a good question to get your noggin jogging. Would that action be considered suicide or murder? This is just a tiny example of law that would have to be completely reimagined. And this is just a tiny example of law that would have to be reimagined within the realm of a post-augmented humanity. And that's just, as I said, one tiny sliver of law. And that's about all I have for you for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was fun to make, because this is a subject that's near and dear to me. As usual, do all the social stuff, and until